This is one mana left, and it is the night before the league. We just got the downloadable patch. PoEDB has been adding stuff to the game. People will scurry to put this in all their planners and whatnot. I'm just using the regular PoEDB site right now. But I'm going to show you my build plan for Hammer of the God Ignite. I made a video on this Sunday going over basically the concept of the build. And we got a little more info. Today I'm going to go through a few updates to that. Some of the info we've got. And then I'm going to go through my plan to level it because, you know, in the night before a league, that's kind of what people want. Disclaimer. The game is brand new. It's early access to beta. This isn't the PoE1 campaign where people know exactly everything. So everything in this video is like assumptions. But that's really the best anyone has right now. So obviously, if you watch this video in like 3 years, you're going to be like, what a dumbass. Yeah, that's the point. But we're all dumbasses on this glorious day. So I'm going to try to be the one-eyed man in the land of the blind and tell you, hopefully, halfway correct what to do. So, let's just start with the fun stuff. What's Hammer of the Gods hopefully look like? Well, hopefully it looks like this.
Nice. That's like, you know, from software game.
There it is. You call down a hammer from the sky, and it does good things. There you go. It's a glorious skill. It's a big cooldown skill. It's a 24-second cooldown, but there's ways to get that down. There's CDR in the tree. There's CDR in jewels. There's CDR in quality. But the skill does a good amount of damage. And if you can get your gem levels pretty high, it can do even better damage. And you can get your gem levels to 40. Because, you know, you can dual wield two-handers with Titan's Grip. Also known as Golem's Blood. But, yeah. I went over some of the mechanics and the goals on how to scale Ignite into stupid numbers. But I'm not going to talk about that as much in this video. I'm going to maybe update a little bit of info. And focus then on leveling. But, just to, like, speed run the concept, Hammer of the Gods Ignite would be a long cooldown skill with Hammer of the Gods. And then to abuse the damage from that long cooldown is there is no ailment penalty, which in PoE1, all the big hitting skills have an ailment penalty. In PoE2, that doesn't seem to be the case. They've rebalanced Ignite. It's mainly based off just the hit damage up front. There's not a lot of the bullshit that like weakens Ignite because you scaled the hit but not the ailment. That's kind of gone. So the skill hits really hard, has a cooldown. We're going to try to get it to Ignite, convert it to fire in the endgame, and then do a really, really, really big scaled Ignite from that hit. So effectively, instead of just hitting for thousands of percent weapon damage one time, the goal will be that we're hitting for thousands of percent weapon damage, and then getting an Ignite on the target that's doing that much damage, like 1 to 2 times per second, for like 10 to 15 seconds. With the objective being to use this skill to one-shot bosses. And then have clear skills, like, I'm going to go with Stampede for now, but there's a lot of testing to do in order to clear trash faster. So the goal there is basically to, you know, just have a weak-ish skill that has really good coverage in AoE and movement for clearing trash. Have maybe a medium skill, like either Sunder or maybe Supercharged Slam. I took out Supercharged Slam for, like, you know, in between rares, some stubborn magic monsters maybe, or like a low HP boss. And then when you get to a big rare or a boss, to Hammer the Gods to kill it. So, I'm going to go through basically my leveling path. To start off, you're going to pick a warrior. I know it says Marauder, don't worry too much. I'm going to start off, and I'm actually going to take my first 2 points in Act 1 as plus 20 armor twice. That sounds really dumb, but 20 armor is terrible in the endgame. But 20 armor when you're level 3 is like fizz damage immunity. So I'm actually going to start off taking these 2 points first. And I'm going to unspec them later with gold. But I'm going to come through here. I'm going to get some damage. You kind of want damage on the softcore campaign. That's fine. I'm going to path down here. And initially, I probably am going to take the block right away. I'm going to probably try to take a shield and a one-hander, get this block, and then come over here, and I'm going to take all the way up to impair and wreathing as the one-hander nodes. I'm not going to take these two-hander nodes to start. I'm going to take these one-hander nodes. Shield one-hander. I'm going to start taking some Warcry stuff as soon as I can get Infernal Cry. Infernal Cry is going to be pretty good. These are just generically good AoE damage. I'll probably take those right away. Vigilance is insane defense. I'm probably going to rush this quickly. It's good block chance, especially if you can pick up a shield that has percent blocks as a prefix, which we've seen in PoEDB in the data mine. So shields, and we saw this in like the beta testing, or in the like playthrough testing. Shields can get like 40 plus block inherently. The percent block on these nodes is a multiplier on that, so it's not 12 flat block. It would be 20 would become, or 40 would become like 45 with 12% increase. But 6 life on block is really good when you're low level. This will trail off a little bit when you're higher level, but it's still good block chance. I'm going to keep coming down here. These are really good nodes for like reduced attack speed, but really big damage. That's really good for, you know, something like Hammer of the Gods. I'm going to try, after I get Infernal Cry, to come down here, and it's not highlighting right now because the website's really slow. Everyone's trying to use this right now, but this node right here, if it loads, says Warcries empower an additional attack. The whole website's frozen right now, but does it update? No, it's not going to. The website's barely functional right now. Pretty much everything's that way right now. The main PoE websites are barely functional right now. Zoom in, I can't. The website's frozen right now. But I'll go through on this planner, hopefully while the website unfreezes. There it is. Warcries empower an additional attack. The idea is pick up Infernal Cry. It's going to give you added fire damage. That's pretty good. We don't need that right now because the basic playthrough to start is going to be just fizz damage. Probably Stampede will be the clear skill. Stampede is nice because it has baked-in movement speed. I'm actually going to probably take Momentum first because it's 40% more damage. And probably faster attacks. It's the only skill that's actually going to scale with attack speed is just your clear skill. Because like Hammer obviously doesn't. And then Stomping Ground is also good. It gives a Shockwave when you take a step forward, so Stampede is a movement skill. In PoE 2, they've changed support gems because you cannot use the same support gem twice. So if you're going to be playing a playstyle where you have multiple skills that do damage, you don't want to use basically similar skills a bunch of times because then they can't benefit from the same support gems multiple times. So it's actually really beneficial to have like a clear skill that uses different support gems than like your main skill. And in this case, Stampede being a baked-in movement skill is really nice because you can use Momentum, Stomping Ground. I could add an Area of Effect. I'll try to link this, but there's going to be a bunch of better ones coming out. So I'll probably change what the skill planner is later. By the time you see this, there might be a better functional skill planner that I'll then link in the description instead. So maybe I don't need to link this. We'll see. But I've got these gems here linked basically in the priority of when I would want to add them. So like Momentum, faster attacks, and then Stomping Ground, which is probably the first 4 I would link to this. Hammer, I would probably go Fist of War and Melee Fizz. They're pretty similar power. Second Wind is probably pretty nice early on because it's just going to give you another use. You'll get it less often, but that might feel smoother. Pulverize is also really good. Maybe Pulverize is better than Second Wind. There's a little TBD in all these. This isn't like a PoE 1 guide where everything is like scienced out and it's like, no, this is the third best support. This is the... No. It's roughly this order, but it might depend, like, you know, when you grab it or when it becomes available, or just which one feels better. But Infernal Cry, I'm going to have Empowered Damage, which makes the empowered skills deal for 20% more damage. So that's like an additional link. Calling Strike on Empowered Call is pretty good. Enraged Warcry, if you get Rage Generation, we won't have a 5 link early on. It can be 30% more damage. There's a couple skills that give Rage. Like when you're hit, like up here, you can get a crazy amount. Oh, I can't. This site is so, I can't. It's the site is unusable right now. Um, there's rage when you get hit here. There's rage when you get hit here. Stun threshold armor when you get rage, all that stuff. But this is one of the best initial wheels to get. Is like some of the reduced attack speed with increased damage, like 50% increased damage and 5 less attack speed is obviously really good for hammer. But eventually I'm gonna make my way down and try to get Giant's Blood because I want to switch to using a two-hander with a shield. They've nerfed Giant's Blood now. It's now triple attribute requirement. To help get this, after I get Giant's Blood, or before I get Giant's Blood, around the same time, I might be doing some respec. I'll unspec my 2 armor points here when I'm ready for this, and then I'll pick up Beef. Ironically, Beef characters 33 strength should really help fulfill strength requirements. There's more strength here with rage on hit, max rage. This is maybe when you get the empowered rage Warcry for later, so you don't need to spec this right away. But Beef is good when you're going to go Giant's Blood. And then there's a bunch of strength here that lowers your mana but gives you a ton of strength. And then damage per strength. So between Brute Strength and Beef, you should be able to get your early strength satisfied for Giant's Blood. And then pick up a two-hander and a shield. And then, between your block nodes here and here, if you get a shield that has the prefix increased block chance, you're going to have like 60 block right away at low level, and that's going to be really powerful. I would probably start to get toward the two-hand nodes next. They're pretty good. I think your first Ascendancy you're going to take is Earthbreaker for 20% Aftershock, because Aftershocks deal 100% of the damage of the skill, so this is like 20% more damage. Pretty good. Later on, I think the play is to, when you get your 4th Ascendancy point, unspec Earthbreaker, and then just leapfrog Colossal Capacity into Hulking Form. Hulking Form is one of the best passives on the entire tree of any class. It's 50% increased effect of small passives, so that's just really good. It kind of balances the fact that Colossal Capacity doesn't give any power. So it's worth all 4 points to get Hulking Form. It randomly disables because the site is barely functional right now once again, so I can't see it right now, but Hulking Form is insane. And then 6th point, I would just go back into Earthbreaker maybe, and then probably Lineage. I know I talked about going maybe Aegis, but they've nerfed Aegis. Aegis is gone, so no more Aegis. Maybe Super Endgame, I go Hybrid ES with Zealot's Oath because I will get a ton of regen in the Endgame for... They've basically added Juggernaut Untiring. In the original tree they showed, it was a 0.5% per second. But instead, it got added on the tree 3 times more powerful than that. It's absolutely insane. The suspense is killing me for when this tree is going to load, but made to last is insane if you get a decent amount of armor. 15% of fizz damage prevented is recouped his life. So that's over 8 seconds. That 15% is the same number as Untiring. This also in Pee Wee 1, and I think it will therefore work the same in Pee Wee 2, works on blocked hits too. So if you get to like 90 fizz damage reduction, you automatically are recouping more than the damage you take. It's already a net positive. But it works on blocked hits as well. Block also works on spells in Pee Wee 2. Life regen rate directly multiplies that. And then heavy armor should be pretty good. But yeah, you're going to get some armor early on, and you're going to get effectively the Juggernaut Untiring node over 8 seconds instead of 10. So even better. And I think this is just basically going to solve your life regen. As long as you can just get like 75 res by the time you get later in the campaign, and you can like hopefully be as a, melee class with plate gear and some armor on the tree investment, you should hopefully be able to get to like 80-90% fizz damage reduction. And then, yeah, this should pretty much make you full recoup all the damage you take. And with, 60 plus block, even with elemental damage in there, you should actually out-regen just from this node. So, yeah, eventually you'll get to a point where you're starting to get higher level, like 40, 50, 55, 60. you'll start to eyeball swapping to fire. When you're pretty much having all these points filled out, I would also probably get Resolute Technique early on, but I don't know how easy accuracy is to get. Um, there's a trick you can do here with having a aura that has precision, clarity, and vitality. This gives you like 30% accuracy, and I don't know how that scales with gem level. Uh, it's a support. Let's see if they have it in PoEDB yet. Precision. No, it's just 30%. Okay, it might not scale. It is a support, I guess, technically. Yeah, so it doesn't scale. But if accuracy is impossible to get, Resolute Technique's to play. If accuracy is super free to cap, then don't go Resolute Technique. Later on, you'll grab Unnatural Resilience and Heat Proofing, but that's like a little, like, level 70 plus. That's probably when you get to mapping and have res cap. Early on, you won't take that. But eventually get to a point where you're kind of out of points because you have all these filled. And you're going to go for the Ignite swap. So you're going to grab Avatar Fire. You're probably immediately going to grab these nodes for Magnitude of Ailment, 30 Magnitude of Ailment with 20 duration. There's nodes up here for damage to burning enemies, chance to ignite, fizzes extra fire. There's over here automatically all these points, magnitude, pen, magnitude, damage to burning, pen. I don't think you take that maybe, but around the time you're going to be ready for your Avatar Fire swap, you could drop some of the like generic nodes here maybe. They're a little bit weaker. But you know, this is what, probably like 80, 90 points, 85, perfect, right in the middle. This is around when you're getting into white maps, but around this time you should be able to make the fire pivot and actually be getting decent ignite chance. It doesn't show here in the planner, but I have Herald of Ash here. They have nerfed this to not give fizzes extra fire. So if I look up Herald of Ash, it no longer gives the extra fire. So instead, I think I'm going to take a gem called, hang on. Overwhelming Presence around the time when I go for the swap, which would be, you can take Herald Ash first because the overkill when you're like just all hit damage is fine. And then when you start to pivot into Ignite, I would switch to Overwhelming Presence because then you aren't overkilling, you're killing things with Ignite, so Herald of Ash doesn't do anything. But then Overwhelming Presence basically lowers the ailment threshold of everything around you. That's really good. Up to, 29%. You really don't want to ever be at a point where you're pivoting to Ignite and your Hammer of the Gods can miss the Ignite. So lowering the ailment threshold is really insane. Especially because you can, in your skill planner here, replace the Herald of Ash with that and then link Precision, Clarity, Vitality, since it's only a 30 reserve. And those give multipliers to the cost, so you want to link those to a 30. But yeah, about that time, when you have all the Ignite effect, you can start to... I don't know from here if you're going to try to go all the way to Immolate. Probably. Immolate is really strong. It's a lot of travel, but there's these Jewel passives that are insane because Jewels are really powerful. But around that time, you probably go all the way to more Ignite chance. And remember, by the time that you get to these, you'll have Hulking Form that will make these 22 Ignite chance each. And then pick that up. I don't think you'll go Fireproof. It's probably too lame. But this is around the time you're like, level 70, 75 getting into maps. By the time you have this much fire investment, I would think you are pretty good for being full on Ignite. I'd probably by that point start to go into like the max fire res and heat proofing. This will pretty much make you immune to fire damage. That's even more significant because Made to Last basically cancels all damage taken once you get enough mitigation. And obviously if you're taking all fizz damage and you have like 80, 90 PDR, this makes you invincible. But if you start to sprinkle in Ellie damage, that's not the case anymore. But between block and like removing fire damage from the game, I do think you'll be at a point where you'll still just like out regen all incoming damage just with this alone. we're at a point right now where all of this in PoEDB is getting put into all the planners that existed that had all these missing points. So those will be getting updated in the coming hours. So I think there's probably going to be a lot of iterations of me redoing this in the coming days. So just stay tuned. As I level and see these things directly and show my progress directly, we'll have real planners. Things will become clear. I'll keep linking updated setups. But this is my leveling plan, my leveling path. It's basically start off Fizz, be pure Fizz, get a little bit more Warcry scaling in AoE, just get generic damage, try to get block pushed to like 50, 60 plus, maybe all the way to 75. Start to get as much armor and made to last as possible, and then around level 50 to 60, make the pivot to Ignite with Avatar Fire, and then immediately lasting trauma, then maybe Fulmination, then maybe all the way up to Immolate and Burning Strikes. Those 4 nodes are probably enough to get you a full Ignite pivot. There's a node called Burn Away that you could go to, and then there's a node clear up here called Slow Burn somewhere that isn't really a reasonable path to, but maybe by the time you're like trading and like in like mid-tier maps, maybe you can anoint this, and this is insane. But I'm going to be filling in a lot. We're all chickens with our head cut off. We don't know what's going on. But this is kind of the early crack at leveling into like maybe a white map or late campaign transition into full Ignite. But I'll keep you posted. I'll keep you updated. I'll try to link as much useful information as possible. And I'm also going to be having this video linked with Mobalytics, who I'm going to be putting guides for and linking this with them. They will have a planner that I can use then and have all this guide information in as well. And that planner is significantly better looking than this one. So that'll be coming out right before-ish the league goes live. So I'll keep you updated on that, and I'll see you guys next time.